Welcome to NTD China News. I'm Karen Chang. Making headlines this Thursday, April 11th. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry urged to raise human rights when he visits China this weekend. The Philippines charges 12 Chinese fishermen for poaching, and a human rights group says the international community should dig deeper into the Masanjia Labor Camp. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is in Asia this week amidst the military threat from the rogue North Korean regime. He will be in China on Saturday for a two-day visit. Aside from trade and the volatile North Korea, Kerry has received some suggestions about what else he should bring up with Chinese leaders.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry will be making a trip to China this weekend. Tensions over the Korean peninsula will undoubtedly be high on the agenda. But attendees at a House Foreign Affairs subcommittee on Tuesday say Kerry should also raise the issue of human rights.
That he set the right tone about human rights while he is there. We hope Secretary Kerry will not lose this golden opportunity by speaking up.
Kerry's trip to China will be his first as Secretary of State. With a new set of leaders in Beijing, experts say this is a prime time for the U.S. to make a clear statement while maintaining a healthy relationship with China.
During the Soviet Union and the Helsinki process, we were able to walk and chew gum at the same time. We were able to talk about nuclear issues, economic issues, human rights issues, and we were able to engage in all of those discussions simultaneously with the Soviet Union. And it seems to me that that's precisely what we need to do with respect to the People's Republic of China.
Republican Congressman Chris Smith says human rights should not be a subordinate issue on U.S.-China relations. He added that the Chinese state-sponsored practice of harvesting organs from prisoners of conscience should also be on the table.
The evidence is very compelling, especially as it relates to the abuse of Falun Dafa practitioners and the theft of their organs, that there needs to be a very robust response from the Secretary of State. He needs to at least raise it.
Human Rights Watch urged Kerry in a statement to engage with NGOs on the issue of China's human rights and not just the government. The Tibetan government in exile also said it hoped Kerry would address human rights and the situation in Tibet in particular. After visiting South Korea, Kerry will be in Beijing from April 13th to the 14th and then head to Japan.
China and the U.S. have a booming trade relationship. Despite political differences, China-U.S. trade is among the largest in the world. Today, a U.S. governor is in China to further those ties.
California Governor Levi Browde is in Beijing today on a 6-day trip to promote trade with China.
This is the biggest country in the world. We already have a massive trade relationship. And if you heard Vice Minister Wang when he said the potential by 2020 is as high as $60 billion of investment in California.
He's hoping to boost trade ties on things like wine, produce, infrastructure, tourism, energy, and agriculture. On Wednesday, Browde signed an agreement with China's Ministry of Commerce. The Memorandum of Understanding established a working group that would meet regularly to coordinate two-way trade. Browde says he also hopes to open a trade center in Shanghai that would promote trade between his state and China.
We want to invest in China, we want to sell to China, and we want China to sell to California and invest in California.
Browde will be touring over 4 Chinese cities in the next 6 days with his delegation of about 75 staff and industry leaders.
Chinese fishermen are being charged with poaching and harming a UNESCO site off the Philippines. After trying to pay off the park rangers that caught them, the fishermen are also facing bribery charges.
The Philippines charged 12 Chinese fishermen today for poaching in its coastal waters. The fishing vessel ran aground Monday night on a UNESCO World Heritage Site called the Tubbataha Reef. Local environmentalists are upset over what the fishermen were alleged to have done. They say the reef is important in fostering biodiversity and healthy marine life.
If they haven't actually done it, there seems to have been the intent to, let's say, exploit the marine resources which rightfully belong to us. And so that's the basis on which we will proceed with whatever actions we will take.
The fishermen say the grounding was accidental and happened because the vessel's radar was turned off. Amidst territorial tensions between China and the Philippines over waters in the South China Sea, some still blame the Chinese government for failing to police its fishermen. The Tubbataha Reef does not even lie within the disputed area. China's foreign ministry responded today, saying it oversaw all its fishermen working abroad.
The Chinese government has always attached great importance to the safety of fishermen fishing overseas, and at the same time has instructed and administered their fishing activities overseas.
In addition to poaching, the fishermen are also facing bribery charges. They allegedly tried to pay the Filipino park rangers $2,400 after they were apprehended. If found guilty, the fishermen could face up to 12 years in prison and a $100,000 fine.
Many were surprised after a Chinese magazine published an in-depth report about the abuse of women inside a Chinese labor camp. The article went viral online but has since been taken down. A US-based human rights group is urging the international community to start digging because it says there is much more to what the article has exposed. Please be advised the following footage may disturb some viewers.
China's labor camp system is controversial. Police can send people there for up to 4 years without a trial. But the human rights abuses inside have never received widespread attention with the Chinese public. That's because most of the claims so far have been made by practitioners of Falun Gong. The Communist Party has persecuted and discredited the spiritual practice since 1999. But walking out of Masanjia may be changing that. The article by China-based Lens magazine exposed in gruesome detail the torture at one of China's most notorious labor camps, something not done before by mainland Chinese media. The Falun Dafa Information Center monitors the persecution of Falun Gong. Its executive director, Levi Browde, told NTD's China Focus that the article should prompt further investigation.
Clearly, there are voices inside China trying to get these abuses out, and I think it's very important for those in the West to step up and take that momentum and dig deeper into the story. There's much more about Masanjia than was reported in the report, although it was a good initial start. It's important that we don't let it stop there, because clearly there's a lot of conflict in China about some people trying to get this report out, and we need to carry that out.
The Lens magazine article did not mention Falun Gong. The persecution is off limits for Chinese media. But it did identify a, quote, special group of people who are primarily targeted for certain torture and abuse. Liu Hua, who wrote the diary Walking Out of Masanjia was based on, said she witnessed Falun Gong practitioners being tortured in the labor camp.
All her teeth were knocked out from beatings. She went there in 2010 and wouldn't sign any repentance letters, so a team leader in the labor camp beat her. When she left on July 15, 2012, she didn't have one tooth left. They were all knocked out.
The Lens magazine article has clearly unnerved some in the Chinese leadership. After surviving online over the weekend, internet censors moved in. Now, most of the reports, including the original, have been taken offline.
To see the whole of that interview with Levi Browde, tune into China Focus after this news broadcast. And coming up after the break, KFC continues to struggle in China with a big drop in sales in March. Did Chinese authorities know about the bird flu much earlier than reported? And it was meant to be the Chinese premiere to Django Unchained, but the big day came undone when Chinese censors suddenly cancelled the premiere. And welcome back. With the bird flu fears, people in China are avoiding poultry, and that's bad news for companies like KFC. Sales are down and the outlook seems grim.
It's been a bad few months for Yum Brands Incorporated. It's the parent company for Taco Bell, KFC, and Pizza Hut. First, a food safety scandal in China involving chickens distributed to KFC shakes public confidence. That was enough to drive down sales. But with bird flu fever sweeping the country, even more are avoiding chicken.
The government never told us to stop eating it, but we try to avoid it as much as possible.
On Wednesday, Yum Brands announced sales in China dropped by 13% in March. It was a bigger drop than anyone expected. Yum Brands operates 5,300 restaurants in China. 80% of those are KFCs. Hundreds of thousands of chickens have been culled in Shanghai over the past week in the latest battle with the bird flu virus. The H7N9 virus, a mutated strain, has killed at least 10 of 38 confirmed patients.
Look, I think any impact it has on slowing growth will be temporary. The Chinese consumer, once this issue is over with and out of the way, the Chinese consumer will move on, and I think it also, in some ways, the additional surveillance and additional attention that's being paid to these issues will over time, increase the consumer's confidence.
That would be good news for Yum Brands. China is a critical market for the company. 42% of its 2012 income came from China, but for now, it's looking like April may also be a difficult month.
Chinese authorities first reported about the unusual strain of bird flu on March 31st. That's about 3 weeks after the death of the first known human patient. Now a Chinese paper is reporting that authorities may have known about the H7N9 much earlier than they said.
The H7N9 avian flu virus spreading in China has killed at least 10 people out of 38 cases in Shanghai and surrounding provinces. There are now growing questions over why Chinese authorities have been slow in announcing the first confirmed cases. According to official reports, the very first case of H7N9 affecting humans occurred on February 19th in Shanghai. The patient died on March 4th, but authorities didn't announce it until March 31st, claiming they only confirmed the virus on March 29th. But on Wednesday, Guangdong-based Southern Metropolis Daily reported the Shanghai health authorities may have confirmed the virus as early as March 4th, the day the man died. Another test confirmed the results on March 10th. All of this happened during the important annual political meetings for the Chinese regime, where a once-a-decade power transfer was finalized. According to Southern Metropolis Daily, Shanghai then reported the first case to China's Center for Disease Control and Prevention on March 22nd, after the political meetings were over. The Chinese public has been demanding more transparency about potential health threats and actions to prevent the spread of the virus. So far, Chinese officials have not identified any farms with poultry affected by the virus. Western health officials aren't sure if Chinese authorities are concealing information. Up to this point, China has not provided many details about its testing protocols.
Weeks after Shanghai dealt with 16,000 dead pigs in the Huangpu River, authorities in central Hunan province have found at least another 70. It's part of a growing problem, pig farmers dumping dead, possibly sick pigs. It came after Chinese authorities began cracking down on markets selling diseased pigs. Unlike farmers in the West, many of China's livestock farmers are small and unregulated. Most aren't equipped to deal with animal disease prevention. Also, there is a shortage of qualified vets. According to China Dialogue, a website that focuses on Chinese environmental issues, vets are barely recognized as a profession in China. Liaoning, the head of the Chinese Veterinary Medical Association, told China Dialogue that farmers who need vets for proper animal care often don't spend money on employing one. This means disease can go unreported or reported too late to prevent their spread. When it comes to disposing of animals killed by a disease outbreak, Chinese law stipulates that carcasses should be buried or cremated. But these are either time-consuming or expensive, and that makes the option of simply dumping the dead animals very tempting. Django would have made southern slave owners tremble, and it seems he's invoked fear in China's censors as well. At the last minute, Django Unchained was pulled from its debut in China today without any official explanation. This is Django, a freed slave in the American South. He gets revenge on the plantation owners who have his wife, a violent and bloody tale. It's tempting to say that the David and Goliath storyline didn't sit well with Chinese authorities, but the fact that the movie was heavily advertised and promoted doesn't exactly fit that theory. No official reason has been given, but theatre employees cite vague technical problems. Others speculate scenes involving nudity and violence had to be deleted or changed. The film's director, Quentin Tarantino, has made no public comment. Without a movie rating system in China, all movies have to be made kid-friendly. Tarantino's movies are known for gore and blood, and Django was no different. And that's all for this broadcast of NTD China News. For more of our China-related topics, visit our website at ntd.tv or subscribe to our YouTube channel, NTD on China. Coming up next on China Focus, watch to find out about the little-known secrets about the notorious Masanjia Labor Camp in Liaoning Province. Stay tuned.